Temp check. What kind of summer are we having this year? A family road trip summer? A beach bum summer? Or a wake me up when the sun sets summer? With Instacart, choose your own adventure and skip the shopping side quests. Where available, you can get ice cream delivered to your hotel, sunscreen to the pool, or cold brew to your bed. Well, door, in as fast as 30 minutes. Wherever you find yourself this summer, you can get the goods. Download Instacart for free delivery on your first 3 orders. Offer valid for a limited time. Minimum $10 per order. Excludes restaurants. Additional terms and fees apply.
Somebody please think of the children!
And welcome back to Little Cuts, our weekly minisode where we dig into things that we've been watching recently. I'm Terry.
And I'm Mary Beth, and this week we are chatting about seductive horrical. Let me take it from the top. This week we are chatting about seductive historical fiction. There we go. Indonesian horror, Tilda Swinton and work visas, and then Mr. Templeton and telenovelas.
Yes. Before we do get into it, two notes off the top. One, thank you for everyone that reached out. I am safe. I'm recording. The tornadoes, there were 57 confirmed tornadoes in Nebraska and Iowa last Friday. 57. And some of them were quite large. Terrifying.
The number of times I texted Terry, like, are you sure you're okay? Because TikTok kept showing me, like, so many different... I swear I saw about every angle humanly possible of the tornadoes in Nebraska, and now all I'm getting are tornado videos on my TikTok. But I was like, I saw people's houses, they were absolutely obliterated. I was like, you're so lucky, it's so random.
Yeah. And like, so there's a city of town-ish of Elkhorn that's part of, like, I think it's north of Omaha, but it's sort of part of Omaha, and it's about 15 minutes from where I live, and the tornado destroyed neighborhoods there. And there was a story on CNN today about 2 brothers that were sucked out of their house, running to the basement and got sucked out of their house. They lived, they survived, but yeah, they got thrown through the tornado. Just absolutely insane. A different kind of tornado is coming though, because as I was telling Mary Beth, I got a notification on my phone last night that there is a new season of MILF Manor. And so, against my better judgment, MILF Manor Zone will be back. Or MILF Manor Corner, wow. I believe it was coined. Will be back starting next week.
Wow.
I will watch it so no one else has to.
Well, I don't know if I can join you in that journey, unfortunately. I'm so sorry, but I don't know if I can follow you down this path.
I don't expect anyone to, but you know, the things we do for our lovely listeners.
Oh boy. Well, speaking of that, I want to hear about seductive historical fiction.
Yeah, so I don't think I talked about this one on the podcast yet, but it is currently airing right now, and it is a lot of fun. It is on it's on Stars, but it's called Mary and George, and it is the true story of the Countess of Buckingham who molded her son to seduce King James I and become his all-powerful lover. And so it is about, it stars Julianne Moore as Mary and her son George, played by Nicholas Galitzine, who I am really falling in love with as an actor. He was in Bottoms. He was in Red, White, and Royal Blue. He does play a lot of gays. But he also plays, like, so he's also going to be in a movie that I'm seeing tomorrow night, pre-release, called The Idea of You, which is a rom-com with Anne Hathaway. But like he is, I don't know, he's just a delightful human being. And so yeah, so he plays like this character that is being basically groomed by his mom to sort of try to take over the kingdom and position them in a better financial situation by seducing the king, who King James had a whole like group of young men that he loved to sleep with. And so it is about the true story of this family that is sort of destitute in the kingdom of England, trying to get into the king's good graces and become more influential than any of them could ever imagine. So there's a lot of like political backstabbing, a lot of like political machinations that are happening, as well as some steamy sex as George goes on his way to be the twink that every king wants in his bedroom. And it's a delight. It's very funny. It's really well written, really well acted, and I think they're on episode 5 right now of the show. I haven't seen the whole thing. I've seen like the first. I think I've seen most of the first season because I was gonna cover it with Joe, and then things just got really busy, and it didn't work out for us. But it's a really funny show. I highly recommend it. I know not a lot of people have stars, but I would recommend giving this one a shot. Yeah, gotta love gay historical fiction.
Why not? So that's on Star.
Weird people.
It's Mary and George.
Mary and George.
Is it a miniseries?
Yeah. I'm not 100% sure if they are positioning it as just a limited series or if they want to continue it afterwards. But
okay.
It's an absolute delight, and it's sexy, and it's kind of fun to see a Bridgerton, but about gays.
Catty gays in Britain.
Oh yeah. And the thing that I love about Nick is that depending on his role, he either comes across as like a bossy bottom or like a dom top. He is like both in this, and I love him.
That's what we call verse, baby.
Yes, we do. Swinging wildly away from that, I think, though, Indonesian horror.
Absolutely, just like opposite ends of the spectrum here. Like, we are going from like gay historical romance drama to like Indonesian folk horror. So I just watched Dancing Village: The Curse Begins, which is Indonesian film, just came out. It's actually in select theaters right now. Directed by Kimo Stambol, who directed The Queen of Black Magic, that reboot, and he also works with Timo Tjahjanto from a lot of the time. They're called the Mo Brothers when they work together. But so Kimo Stambol directed this movie. It's a prequel to the most successful Indonesian movie of all time called Dancing Village, which I have not seen, but this is like a prequel / kind of spin-off standalone thing where you don't have to have seen the original one. So this follows, it takes place in the 80s. A young woman was told to return a bangle to her mother's village after her mother passes away. And she is traveling into the jungle to this village. And when she gets there, she realizes that there is like a very malevolent spirit controlling the village. And it spirals into like this crazy story about demons and trapping the demons and demons making you dance forever in their service. And if you like Indonesian horror, if you've liked things like The Queen of Black Magic, or if you like Satan's Slaves, you'll really like this. This is definitely like probably something that would do really well on Shudder. It kind of snuck under the radar. I got an email and I kind of looked at it. I was like, I don't know about this. Like Dancing Village: The Curse Begins. Those kinds of movies, unfortunately, like it's not really like a good title. You know what I mean?
No, it's not.
It's not. But I was like, PR person kind of convinced me, and I was like, okay, this is the sequel to like the biggest movie in Indonesia of all time. This director is actually really cool and has worked on some cool stuff. Why not? And I'm actually, it was like actually very surprising. It's 2 hours long, which I thought was like, what the fuck? It's so long, but it actually is incredibly well paced, which I find with a lot of Indonesian horror is like they're long, but they're really well paced. Where it's like all of a sudden, and like it seems like the movie is over, and then it's like a big twist, and all this other crazy shit happens. So I was pleasantly surprised by it and just wanted to shout it out because we don't get a lot of Indonesian horror in the States. This one was pretty impressive with what it does and the kind of lore it creates, and it is currently in select theaters. It's probably going to come to... I wouldn't be surprised if it comes to VOD soon. I just don't know yet. But keep an eye out for that one because I had a good time. It's PG-13, but he navigates the PG-13 I think pretty well. Especially because he usually does like very gory, like rated R movies.
Right. I was looking at his filmography and with like Killers and Macabre, and it seems like there's a lot of R.
Yeah, and Dancing Village was so popular and it was PG-13, it was like much more accessible to like, you know, to younger audiences, so he had to make it like that kind of rating, which he said, I interviewed him and he said it was difficult for me to kind of like rate it in a little bit, but it was a good challenge. So I think they navigate it pretty well. The PG-13. Good. Yeah. So that is Dancing Village, The Curse Begins. Don't let the title.
It is a wild title that I probably would have just kept scrolling past.
Yeah,
I'll be honest.
I know, which is why I wanted to like shout it out. I'm like, guys, this is actually pretty cool.
Indonesian horror,
right?
I need to get more.
Yes, I need to watch more of it, and I also know that just like we don't get as much access to it. I need to watch more of it. But it's always very supernatural, and sometimes I like don't always gravitate towards supernatural horror, so that's kind of why. But I'm glad I watched this one. Yeah. And absolutely, again, swinging back in another totally different direction is Tilda Swinton and Work Visas.
Yeah. So I have been wanting to see this movie in theaters, and I have not been able to see a movie in theaters outside of going to Unnamed Footage Festival and seeing the movie afterwards that we saw. I have not been to the theater in a very long time, which really sucks. But Problemista has been in the theaters, and it just got a release on VOD. And this is written and directed by Julio Torres. Julio Torres, he was also the writer / creator of Los Spookies, which I really enjoyed. And he also has another show coming up on HBO called Phantasmas, I think. I don't see it on IMDb, but I just got a press release for it. That's coming out. It's called Phantasmas, I believe. But yeah, so Problemista is about a Salvadoran man named Alejandro who wants to be a toy designer, but his toys are very esoteric and not like kid friendly. Like one of them that he is talking about that he wants to make is like a slinky that refuses to go downstairs in order to teach kids about I forget what the rationale was, but there's like a teaching moment for it with it not wanting to go downstairs. It's like he comes up with these wild ass ideas that like are not popular, but he really wants to work for Hasbro. He unfortunately time is running out on his work visa, and he has 30 days in order to find someone to sponsor him to stay in the States, or else he is being kicked out and his dreams are being crushed. And while he's doing this, he's working for this facility that flash freezes people who are sick and are creatives in order so that like hundreds of years in the future, maybe they'll wake up and there will be a cure for whatever their disease is. And while he's working there, he meets Tilda Swinton's Elizabeth, whose husband had, I believe it's cancer, froze himself in one of these tubes, which is basically like, the people are basically saying it's euthanasia. It is like, yeah, we're freezing your organs and we're putting you in this, but like, you're probably not gonna survive. But he meets Tilda Swinton's character, who is the most delightful monster. Like, she is absolutely
Okay.
deranged and eccentric and erratic and thinks everyone is out to get her and is just like badmouths everyone. But like, she takes a liking to Alejandro and sort of hires him to be her assistant, helping with like this database that is cataloging her husband's art, because her husband that froze himself only draws eggs, only does like art of eggs, and so he's never been popular. It's just explaining this show, I'm realizing how like, or this movie, how insane it actually sounds. But it's like a really kind of magical realism look at what it's like to be someone stuck or trying to stay in a country and running out of time. So it's about work visas, but then it turns into like this really kind of heartwarming story about odd odd people and their like niche loves of an art that is not being appreciated by other people. And so there's like this really heartwarming feel to this movie that is really about outcasts trying to make it in this world that is all about commodification and trying to sell stuff. And I really, really liked it a lot. It's very funny. Tilda Swinton, she's like a chimera. She just is different in every role I see her in. And this, she is absolutely delightful in this movie. It's also narrated by Isabella Rossellini. She's the narrator, and I love her. So it's a great film. I highly recommend checking this one out.
Okay. I need to see it. I have heard really good things about it. It's also just one of those things that I feel like, because it's Julio Torres, like kind of inscrutable to explain.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's
What
just
a-
like,
One of the running gags, or one of the running like visual gags, is the way he walks. Looks like he's like floating on clouds. Like he just sort of like goes back and forth. Like it's just, it's so adorable and silly whenever he is just like walking to and fro. It's just like, it's full of this little quirky little humorous moments that if you like Los Spookies, this is basically gonna be right up your alley.
I just feel, oh yeah, Phantasmus is his new show. He's just so funny and weird, and himself, or them, I'm not, yeah, them, himself. It's just weird, and I love it so much. Oh,
Yeah.
Julia Fox is in it. Fantastic. That's wild. Anyway.
Yeah, so I totally recommend it. It's out on VOD right now. Just absolutely delightful. A24 killing it. And now it's time for Templeton, Mr. Templeton. I I just want to shout out that Tina Fey's husband continues to deliver bangers of music in this show. And Mr. Templeton is probably one of my favorite songs that 30 Rock has given us. Tonight's like a banquet, give it a try. Candlelight caviar, you and I. And Templeton, Mr. Templeton, why should he stay at home? Just get his medication.
Am I crazy?
He'll go with us.
Am I missing something?
See a show with us. You don't remember the song that plays?
In Flu Shot.
Yeah, in Flu Shot. Mm-hmm. It's sung by Michael Bublé, I believe. It's when Jack and Elisa, the nurse that Jack is dating, go out on town and take Mr. Templeton.
Oh,
with
yes.
them.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. I was.
And the song plays in the background, and I love it. I love it so much.
You know, I wish I had flagged that because there were so many other things I was paying attention to that I did not even catch the Mr. Templeton song, to be perfectly honest with you.
It's so good.
Okay, but
it's so good.
Really off the top, really quickly, I have to discuss current events involving Alec Baldwin. Have you heard of Crackhead Barney?
What?
You heard me. Have you heard of Crackhead Barney?
No.
Okay, so she is like this like performance artist or like professional troll or whatever the fuck. Like, I don't really know what she's considered, but she's like a provocateur. And two things back to back happened recently. The first being that she saw Alec Baldwin in a cafe in New York and started like verbally attacking him, saying, like, why did you kill those people, Mr. Baldwin? Like, say free Palestine, say fuck Zionism. And she's like in his face, like trying to get him to say something, and he hits the phone out of her hand. And then the next day or something, like very quickly, she's on Piers Morgan, and she is in like, she's like powdered her face white and is in a diaper and like a bra, and it is perhaps the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. And I had to bring it up because I can't look at Alec Baldwin the same way.
Tony in chat says, Mary Beth, what are you even saying? And those are words. Those are all words that I have heard. And I am
online. I am chronically online. It's so bad. I am so on the internet or like listening to podcasts about the internet. It is something I wish I didn't know, but I have to share it. I've shared it with so many people, and not that many. Josh Korngut is the one who alerted me to this, and now all I can do is tell people about it because it is the most bizarre thing of all time.
Wow.
Yeah, so I just wanted to start off 30 Rock talking about that. That's like a fever dream. You singing of Mr. Templeton and me having zero idea what you're talking about. Going to be talking about a
You're just like, you want to talk about surrealness?
You want to talk about surrealism?
Hold my beer,
all
Terry.
Right, motherfucker. Crackhead Barney being verbally assaulting Alec Baldwin in a New York City coffee shop.
I mean, good for her.
I guess.
But
I guess.
What?
Anywho, yeah. So I ended up watching 4 episodes because I just had them playing. Because I watched the first one today, and then I was like, well, if I'm going to have to watch this 10th one, I might as well just watch the one in the middle. And I'm so glad I watched the 9th episode of season 3. And then I've finished episode 11. So I watched 4 episodes.
Wow.
Yeah. The amount of notes I took kind of slowed down as I continued, but the first the flu shot episode definitely had a lot of thoughts and feelings about Puerto Rican jokes. And also, you explained this to me offline. It is his mom. Like, Salma Hayek is in fact playing Jack's mother's nurse. I put those pieces together. A lot of really incredible jokes about being upper middle class in this one, but very funny to watch. This one is taking place in there's like, again, like 5,000 plot lines, but one of them is Liz is about to go on vacation, but everyone has the flu, and she could get a flu shot, but they're only saving it for special people, and she wants to be one of the people, but also just wants to go on vacation, so she's debating about the flu shot. Jack and his beautiful girlfriend are trying to figure out how to navigate her schedule as a nurse and having to work multiple jobs. And then we also have Dr. Spachaman making an appearance, which is quite perfect. Yeah.
I love that. One of my favorite lines is when Liz shows up and she's bought what she calls a Tincourt, and she says, it's been worn by Dame Judi Dench's mother. And There's one thing that like is kind of a running joke in here that I'm not sure any of the episodes we've watched covers, but is the fact that Liz does not like her feet. And so the fact that she wants to go to the beach and she loves this particular beach because they make people wear black socks to like cover her feet. She has a feet thing.
Oh, I mean, like, I just figured she was a fucking weirdo, so she just, like, wore socks and
Well,
sandals, so I was just like, I mean, whatever, that's fine. With, her sandwich turtle.
yeah.
It is very funny watching this now, because I keep wanting to say, put on masks, you fucks. Very fascinating to watch that. And then also hear Tracy say, that's a truth serum. It's really a truth serum. I'm like, oh god, no. It's just still talking. Oh god. But everything Dr. Spichemin says is my favorite. This guy who is Dr. Spichemin also voices Cyril and Archer, who is one of my favorite characters. But like, my favorite part is attending executions. Can I ask you a question as a woman? Are you going to alter your voice in any way?
You sure you can, Jack?
Yeah.
Or when he gets introduced initially, and he's like, "Jack, I'm gonna ask you to drop your pants."
Yep.
For whatever reason, he drops him, and he's not giving him a shot in the butt or anything. Gives him the arm. It's so random.
It's just so good. And when are they gonna find a cure for a woman's mouth? And then I just once again feel like I am Liz Lemon when she's like, it's about fairness. It's not fair that I get, like, I'm an important person and I get things over others. And just, once again, me grappling with access and things like that. So I was just like, once again, my life just continues to mirror this fucking NBC sitcom. Not a sitcom, but you know what I mean.
No, it is a sitcom.
I did, because I've never really watched this before, I have a note of, is Jack a hopeless romantic when he shows up with, like, Monopoly and, like, food for her? I'm like, wait, fascinating that, because I've never really watched it, I always thought he's kind of a dick, but he's kind of a sweet dude, even though he fucks everybody and dates everybody. It's interesting to get to, I mean, again, I know it's Alec Baldwin, but it's, like, interesting to see his character in a different way than I had seen it when I had previously seen pick a couple episodes here and there.
Yeah, he's there's surprising depth to his character that could be just a one-off, Republican CEO, right? There's a lot more nuance to his character that I find even though I cannot stand Alec Baldwin, I still really like the character, and there's just as much as I hate him, I think Alec Baldwin is a good actor and brings a whole lot to this role.
Yeah. I agree. I definitely agree. I'm obsessed with Kenneth saying that he's going to die like so everyone in his family wrapped in a Confederate flag, deep fried, and fed to the dogs.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible.
I hear that doctor-patient confidentiality is a two-way street. I'm cheating on my wife.
Also, just when she's on the beach, I started laughing about it, making the Booking.com commercials even funnier, again, because I keep seeing the Booking.com commercials of Tina Fey, like, on the beach in a very similar setup,
Yeah.
and so watching her in the show versus now, it's just very funny to me.
It really is.
Also, I just wrote how I felt with the flu, because of how I felt with the flu, but I also am obsessed with Tracy and Jenna going out to get everyone soup, and they end up going shopping, and they are about to explain what they're doing, and Liz goes, I don't want the montage, and they just
Yeah.
Oh, it's such good timing. I love that they filmed
It
the
is.
beginning of a montage sequence, and I don't know, just another clever moment from this program.
But I also love that when Liz's vacation is back on, and like she's realizing that she took the stand because there was nothing for her to lose at that stand, right? And now that there is something for her to lose, she's like realizing how sick everyone is, and the camera starts doing a lot of Dutch angles.
Oh, it's so good.
And like frames it as like a zombie apocalypse. And my favorite moment is when she comes around she's like running from Kenneth and she runs into Pete, and Pete's looking all normal and stuff, and he goes chew, and then the color changes, the angle changes, and he is like a zombie, and she bashes him on the head with glass, and he's like, why?
It's so good. It's incredible. It's truly incredible.
But I love when 30 Rock plays with genre a little bit, and
Yeah.
this is one of my favorites because of the way it turns into a horror show for a brief, scene or two.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we have Generalissimo, which I'll be honest. What's going on?
I didn't
Is
realize.
Misu?
So I knew Misu was in here. I didn't know Zucchini was under Steve's desk, and I just heard this noise, and he's fucking snoring. I was like, who is that in here? And it's him snoring under Steve's desk.
Aw, Zucchini.
Oh, sorry. I was just like, what is that sound?
No.
Oh. Anyway.
I will admit, Generalissimo is not necessarily my favorite, although I love the juxtaposition of the Generalissimo being this big bad who's doing all this horrible things, and Liz using that in order to sleep with Dr. Baird, played by
A foppish
John Hamm.
Well, so I did watch 309, and I just have to say, in episode 309, at one point, Jenna goes, I had to take a Silkwood shower. And I was like, that is the most fucking incredible reference I've ever heard in my entire life. I do not think any reference will ever be topped. I think that is my favorite thing I've ever heard. So I had to just make a note of that, because we've talked about Silkwood on the show too, so we'll all appreciate it. Also, her trying to eat the cat. I'm sorry. It just, the fucking with Jenna as when she's gonna be Janis Joplin. Incredible. Anyway, Generalissimo. I didn't really write a lot of notes for this one because I was just dying laughing the whole time, especially when they revealed that Generalissimo is just Alec Baldwin in brown face, which is really bad, but also with like, it's not as bad as I expected it to be, which does not excuse it by any stretch of the imagination. It's not as bad, but it's definitely not good by any stretch. But I laughed and I feel really bad about it.
It's so funny, but at the same time, it's like, no. No. But it's so funny because he's basically playing himself as like a gay telenovela star, and because he is dating Elisa, and Elisa's grandmother is in town and watches this telenovela where this guy looks just like Jack, hates Jack because the Generalissimo is an absolute horrible person. And so it's I don't know, there's something really funny there, but at the same time it's like, ooh, this is uncomfortable.
Yeah,
even though I'm laughing.
Because it's like the brown face is like, you can tell it's just like bronzer, but you're still doing it to make his face darker. Like, it's not great.
Mm-hmm.
And so like that plot line is a little bit, but we also then have crazy Liz Lemon being a psycho with her hot John Hamm neighbor, and then also a kind of a subplot of Tracy being one of the finance bros and roofing himself, which is quite incredible. That's my favorite part of this whole episode. If he's like,
here come the roofies.
I'm doing this so I don't seem old. Like, just love Tracy. He's like, I don't know what I just said. I just love it so much. But we just get to meet the foppish, beautiful John Hamm, who I guess is the new love interest for Liz Lemon for a couple episodes. I did watch the next one and see how things kind of go crazy with that relationship. But, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, and she does commit a federal crime by opening his mail to see what he likes, so she can tailor everything about herself to be like him. And then he opens her Netflix DVDs. Remember when Netflix did DVDs?
I do. That's like,
I miss it.
That's like such a of an age.
I miss it.
But I love how the episode like culminates in her basically becoming the Generalissimo, trying
It's
to
so
convince
funny.
Dr. Baird, that to like date her. And at the very end, because like she says she has a missing dog because he loves animals, and so he helps her, and then someone ends up bringing her a random dog that looks just like the picture, which she doesn't have a dog, but she's stuck now in this ruse. So she takes this asshole dog in while she's also trying to convince Dr. Baird that there was a party, but it's actually tomorrow night, and it's just you and I here, and now let's have sexy time and feed each other fondue. And then he ends up accidentally getting roofied. And my favorite line is where she's like, "Oh, I am the Generalissimo." He's like, "I don't know what that means."
Oh, is this the... Wait, hold on. Is this the one where Tracy has diabetes? Oh,
No,
okay.
I
Is that
think
the next episode? Never mind.
I think
Yeah,
so.
it's the Hill Witch. Sorry, I got
Oh, the Hill Witch.
I got my episodes confused. I apologize.
The Hill Witch.
Yes, this is a good solid block of episodes.
There's a lot of good ones in season 3, honestly, and so we are gonna miss one. If you feel the push for it, I would recommend watching The Bubble, which is episode 15. Because I was gonna bring that one up, but honestly, I have to start editing out some of these. But The Bubble is sort of like the end of the Liz Lemon Dr. Baird relationship, and
Okay.
it's funny. It's funny. But yeah, so next week we are gonna talk about episodes 14, The Fun Cooker, which is an absolute delight.
I've seen that one.
And then episode
and there's
18.
a memory I have associated with this episode that I think about literally all the time when it comes to jury duty.
Seriously?
Literally all the time. Yep.
Oh, okay. I can't wait. I cannot wait. But yes, The Fun Cooker is one of my absolute favorites. And then episode 18, Jackie Jormp Jomp, which is a continuation of Jenna attempting to be Janis Joplin, but unable to get the life rights for Janis Joplin. And so it goes from there. And the one thing I will say is that Jackie Jormp Jomp takes place after an episode in which Liz Lemon, in an attempt to save her show, ends up kind of sexually harassing someone and gets like put on like administrative leave for a time. And so this is sort of like the follow-up to that. So I will let you that, because I'm really bad at letting you know that there is like what the plot things that happen beforehand. So that is what's happened before Jackie Jormp Jomp, which is a name. But okay, so who are we talking with on Monday?
So on Monday, we are chatting with John Rosman, the writer and director of New Life, which we have gushed about quite a few times on Little Cuts. And he brought with him perhaps the most incomprehensible movie I've watched for this podcast, which is Jason Goes to Hell, The Final Friday.
Yeah. Wow.
It's a movie that exists.
It sure does. What is your Letterboxd review?
I think I just put no and a heart. Hold on. Yeah, it's just no and a heart.
Delicious.
So you guys know where I stand on that one. But yeah. I don't know. It's anyway, yeah. You've heard from us. Listeners, we want to hear from you. Did you watch anything that we talked about this week and have thoughts? Do you have suggestions for 30 Rock episodes for me to watch? You can let us know by sending an email to scarredforlifepodcast@gmail.com, or you can reach out to us directly on social media. I am at MB McAndrews on Twitter and at MB.McAndrews on Instagram.
And I'm at Gaily Dreadful everywhere.
And of course, don't forget to follow the podcast on social media. It is at Scarred Podcast on Twitter and Blue Sky, and at Scarred for Life Podcast on Instagram.
And please don't forget to review, rate, and subscribe. And if you want to help support us, we do have a Patreon.
Thank you to Eric Power for our artwork. Thank you to Sean Keller for our music. Thank you everyone for listening. Please stay safe out there, but most importantly, stay creepy.
And until next time.
Oh, won't somebody please think of the children? Oh,